Hello and welcome back to the thunderwizard.com YouTube channel. This is Mahadev, the Thunder Wizard, and this is another installment of Ask Thunder Wizard Any Question. We've got a great question for you today, and this question is something that I think a lot of people are thinking about, and I'm looking forward to answering it. And the questions, at least two of them, there might be more. The question is, will there be pain in 5D? Will there be danger in 5D? And he also asks, why don't you think fallen angels exist, since human beings are pretty much like fallen angels? Why don't I believe that fallen angels exist? So I've talked about this on the channel, and I look forward to getting into it again. So if you're new to the channel, first just let me remind you, if you are new to the channel, what I need you to do, first and foremost, is I need you to go and subscribe, like, and comment, obviously. Then I need you to go to the playlists section. I need you to click on 3 playlists. The first one is Mao Shan Qigong. Second one is Interdimensional Meditation. And the third one is 12 Steps to 5D. Do at least one thing from one of those playlists every day. And while you're doing that, I want you to go to the website thunderwizard.com and subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong, the most powerful energy meditation practice in history. And in fact, I've just uploaded a brand new guided meditation that was given to me by higher dimensional beings that is the frequency for shifting to 5D. All right, so now back to the question here, askmike.thunderwizard.com. By the way, if you want to ask me a question, all you have to do is go to askmike.thunderwizard.com. It's a great service because, again, it gets my attention and I get to listen to you, really understand what it is you want to ask me. But more importantly, if you've got a question that's really bugging you, you really want to understand from my teachings, there are other people that have the same question. So, it's a really great way to give to others. In this particular question, normally I'm happy to upload the video and have a video side by side with me so you can see the person. This individual did not want to be physically seen, but wanted his audio to be used. So I'm gonna respect that. We're gonna go straight into that. So let's go ahead and just get into the question. This is Josh's question, and I'll let him explain it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop during the question, during the audio, and focus on each point as it comes up, because, that's how my brain works. So let's go ahead and get started with Josh's question.
Hello, Mahadeva, the Thunder Wizard. My name is Josh. I am from the United States. I moved to Europe when I was 10. I'm going to be turning 21 on the 17th. And I have a question that I think you would like.
So I'm just going to stop for a second. So he's a fairly young guy. And the reason why I think this is important is because this is a stage in life where the deeper intellect really starts to blossom right around this age. I remember being in college in this age, and I couldn't stay out of the library. All I did was just spend as much time as I could reading and absorbing information. So I appreciate the nuance of the question that he's going to be giving. But anyway, let's keep going.
And also, after I say that, I would like you to please expound on some opinions you have that I don't fully understand. And so the question is about in 5D, how pain and things like that, danger and things will work, because, and I think you might understand this because you're a surfer, and I enjoy skateboarding a lot.
So I'm remembering why this question. I think he asked it on the live stream. Why it may have confused me. So there are two different things going on here in the question. Pain is one thing. Danger is another thing. So yeah, both of these things are together, and I think he's going to explain why, because he's talking about skateboarding, and I can understand that. He enjoys skateboarding. I'm a surfer. I enjoy surfing, and there is both the potential for pain and challenge and danger in both of those sports, and that's what makes them fun, not the pain part. I just recently was injured. Actually, I've been haven't been able to surf for a week, and I'll probably be out of the water for a few more days. So that's no fun. But if there wasn't a challenge, it wouldn't be fun at all. So anyway, we'll get into that. I'll let him finish his question.
And, a big part of that is that you have to test your limits and have to put yourself to danger, into some risk of getting injured. And, even when you do get injured, then maybe for me, for example, I still want, when I'm injured, I'm waiting until I can go back and skateboard, waiting for it to heal, excited to continue skating. And how would that work, this factor? I think I would still enjoy skating even without these risks. But I wonder how that works in 5D. It's something that's hard for me to imagine.
Okay, I'm going to stop there. All right, so there are three different things going on here that I hear. So first off, let's talk about 5D for a second. In order to truly understand what 5D is about, I'm going to move my computer here because I can hear the fan going. It's a little bit hot, so I'm going to give it some air underneath while I talk. So I need to go back and explain what 5D is about. So in order to understand 5D, I recommend my book, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life, which you can get here at michaelwilliamdenny.com. Or you can just go to Amazon, Kindle, or Audible and type in my name, which you see here, or type in The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. So in that book, I tell you the one rule that is true in every single dimension, I've come to find out, and is the one commandment that is true for all beings that exist in every dimension, including the gods, the most powerful deities you can imagine. No matter how powerful they are, they must obey this one commandment or they would cease to exist. And that commandment is, you must fulfill the deepest desires of your soul. So, why is that important? Because, when we think of 5D, a lot of us think of the Christian biblical understanding of heaven, where you got a bunch of people, in white robes playing harps and just being bored out of their skull. That to me is, something that has been something I've struggled with when I think about 5D. So, how this all came about for me, this is important, especially if you're new to the channel, is that I've been communicating directly with higher dimensional extraterrestrial beings, and that opened up, they opened up a whole new, bunch of worlds and introduced me to how to communicate directly to deities, not to pray to deities, but to actually meet them, communicate with them, and all of that. So as I started doing that, I started learning that deities, even the highest, most powerful deities, aren't really any different from me or you, except that they live at such a high vibrational level that they're not in a physical body. And the reason why we worship them is because they have an ability to tap into our dimensional experience and shift up. So, for instance, if you were to worship Shiva and you have a picture of Shiva on your altar and you worship him, you chant Om Namah Shivaya or whatever it is that you do. What's really happening is because this is a multidimensional being, this person goes, oh, somebody wants to interact with me. And what's happening is that they allow you to tap into the potential that you have that they've already accomplished. But when we think of deities, we think of them in ways that they don't have any desires. This is one of the big myths of spirituality. You know, if you go, you know, I mean, it's just, to me, it's you know, people's unresolved codependence that they're projecting. You know, this is why people say, I'm spiritual, I no longer have any negative feelings. And people really go out of their way to get rid of desires. They think that desires are evil. But what I've come to find out is that desire is the one thing that all beings, including the most powerful deities, possess. So I'm giving you this background because when these higher dimensional beings revealed to me that there was going to be a dimensional shift, an ascension event, an awakening, and then the more that they started telling me about it, they took me to this 5D frequency a couple of times. I was still in my 3D body, but I was taken to that frequency, and it was absolutely blissful and amazing. And so they were showing me, here's what it's going to be like. The new earth, how it's going to feel. But what I can tell you is that desires increased. Now, the desires that did not increase were desires associated with three-dimensional self-protection mechanisms. And we would associate these with destructive behaviors. What happens in the third dimension is that we conflate the two. We don't know the difference between our self-destructive appetites, like, you know, drugs, alcohol, violence, all those things. You know, we think sometimes we enjoy that, but the truth is it's damaging to us. We're not operating from our conscious awareness. But it doesn't mean that our desires won't be part of 5D. So I understand this question because as a surfer, what makes surfing fun is the challenge. And it's no fun if it's just easy. You know, there has to be some challenge to it, and there has to be some risk that, you know, you're going to fall off the board, or the wave isn't going to break, or, you know, there has to be some challenge that you have to overcome. Otherwise, it's no fun. Because if everybody was able to surf perfectly every single wave anywhere in the world, it would be boring as hell and nobody would want to do it. So I understand what he's saying. He's not using this word, but he's also saying, you know, I need the challenge. I need to overcome the challenger. It's no fun. So what I've had to learn, because I bumped into this very quickly, when I started going into my fifth dimensional reality, which you can learn how to do if you go to the playlist Interdimensional Meditation. You can learn how to go into your fifth dimensional world and do that. And at the end of just about every video, I teach you how to, I think this is it. Yeah, I teach you how to go into the quantum field to reprogram physical matter into whatever you choose. And if you watch till the end of this video, I'll upload that and you can see the whole, I'll put it up there so you can see it. So I mean, I was able to go, I still am able to go, and I create this fifth dimensional reality that is, I don't want to get into the details, but it's so different from here that then I have to go, but wait, I still want to surf. And so I talk to these higher dimensional beings and I go, I want to go to 5D, but I don't want to give up surfing. Can I still surf there? So when I'm asking them that question, it means I've forgotten the basic rule of the universe, the One Commandment, which is you must fulfill the desires of your soul. Now, when it comes to 5D, there's something else that I have come to learn might very well be the case. I can't say I know this for a fact. I'm not a psychic, I'm not a prophet, and I'm not a channeler. I do my best to interpret the signs and the communications and the experiences that I've had communicating with these beings. But there isn't just going to be one 5D. I mean, we use the word 5D, and I keep using it because it's a ubiquitous word that everybody associates with heaven on earth, the perfect heaven. And when we talk about this consciousness shift, we assume there's going to be one shift that everybody's going to do to this next world. And the assumption behind that is that we're going to be in this new world and we won't have any control over that one either. We're just going to have to accept it as it is. And that's what he's asking. He's like, I want to know what the rules are here. I like the danger, the challenge of skateboarding, and I want to be able to do that in the higher dimensional world. So when we ask that question, including me, when I'm like, am I going to be able to surf? I want to go, but I don't want to give up surfing. What I'm assuming is that all of the challenge will be taken away, which is the fun. And then I have to remind myself, wait, the one commandment that the universe demands is that I take action to fulfill my deepest desires, my truest, most authentic desires. And so it wouldn't make any sense if in the 5D you weren't able to overcome challenges. So right now, Josh experiences the challenge of avoiding, skateboarding down a really steep hill and, avoiding, cracking his head open or whatever. I guess maybe he's wearing a helmet. You know what I mean? There's some real danger. You could, I used to skateboard when I was younger. So, you're pretty much guaranteed to get hurt. In fact, skateboarding is a lot more dangerous than, surfing on an average day. So Josh, what I would tell you is that while I can't tell you the specifics of, what the challenges are going to be like in your particular 5D reality, you will have a greater opportunity to experience your deepest desires. So something else to be thinking about. We're trapped in this third dimensional reality, which only has up, down, left, right, backwards and forwards and diagonal, and that's it. Variations on that. We're in a box. We can only operate within a box. So we only know the challenges associated with living in a three-dimensional box. So if we were to shift up to another dimension, guess what? The spatial dimensions are going to be completely different. It's going to be expanded upon. So the likelihood is that the challenge and the danger might even be more intense in 5D. Now, the thing that is important to understand is that you're going to get whatever it is you truly want. So it might not be the way that you're trying to see it. You're trying to take 3D skateboarding and put it into a higher dimension. It might be so much more different and so much more cool and so much more dangerous, that to try and think about it now, to try and take 3D skateboarding to 5D, once you get there, you're going to go, oh my God, I don't want to do that 3D stuff anymore. What's this other thing? I've thought about that in terms of surfing. Well, what would that be? Well, I mean, maybe the waves will be interactive, and I can go out there and mentally connect with the water. Maybe I can create huge 30-foot waves, and then be able to surf those. And whoa, that'll I mean, we don't know, but the idea is that we trust that our soul is going to be satisfied, even more so than it is here. So I want to encourage you to not think in terms of pain and danger the way you know it, because you're just responding to what you understand. But I think it's important to bring with you the assumption that the 5D skateboarding is going to be far more cool and far more intense. It's not going to be sitting on a cloud strumming a harp. That's not how the universe works. So let's keep going, see what else he has to say.
I've been trying to, maybe this is something I've been doing all of my life, trying to, or definitely since I've started working on myself, I have definitely been trying to imagine, a different world with different laws that and all of that. So how would that work? And overall, like more dark things, I enjoy, let's say with music and art, I enjoy more darker, I don't know, abyssal kind of ideas and places, and things like that. From this perspective, maybe I am holding on to lower frequency things in my life. I think that's possible because I'm not, especially recently, I've been realizing how much of a negative person I am. But
all right, so let me stop there for a second. This is a good question too. So what he's saying is that he enjoys things that are considered to be dark. I don't know specifically what those are. I was very interested in martial arts. I was really serious about being a hardcore, martial artist way back when, which has to do with violence and all that kind of stuff. And so, we can turn it into the spiritual warrior, which is all, of course, true. But what ended up happening, of course, now I'm not at all interested in violence or martial arts in that way. And I came to find out that the martial arts that I did practice were actually a way for me to move beyond that. It was a way to address that desire and be satisfied with that. But by doing that, I actually moved further and further and further away from that. So, Josh, you're 21 years old. So the darkness that you're attracted to represents the shadow side of you that you're wanting to actually move beyond. So when we get to 5D, as you rightly put, you might not be vibrating at that frequency anymore. But the darkness that you're seeing and you think you're enjoying is actually hiding something beyond that, which isn't necessarily dark. Just know that your attraction to it is you're trying to work through something within yourself. And let me just say this, you guys, if you remember, if you've been on my channel for a while, in June of 2022, I reached out, as you know, and I made successful contact with a mantis being who are among the most powerful beings, that are out there. And their energy could be mistaken for dark energy. Now, it's not. The being that I learned from was the most loving, the most kind being I'd ever experienced. But his energy was so intense that we can mistake that for something negative. The other thing is that when you face the true light, when you truly face the light, then what will happen is you will have to face your own death. Not only your physical death, but your emotional and psychological death. And that is really what we're attracted to when when people go and watch horror movies, or if they're into, dark gothic, whatever it is, Edgar Allan Poe, blah, blah, blah. The death is really just, it's a metaphor for death to the self. To get true power, and I know this personally, having, done a lot of work trying to gain spiritual power. To gain superpowers, for example, you have to go to a vibration of energy that feels almost dark. So I encourage you to start thinking differently about darkness. Now, if you want to, you can do the interdimensional meditation, reach out to higher dimensional beings and say, take me as deep into your energy as I can go. And I guarantee you that itch that you have for the darkness will be scratched in a way that will be far more intense and far more satisfying than any of the, the false darkness that we try and create here. But you'll find out that, you think you're into hardcore darkness until you're taken into some serious higher dimensional energy, which is the opposite of darkness. But you'll find out very quickly that is far more frightening to the three-dimensional mind than any darkness we could have. So, again, these are things that I was really into the idea of, the left-hand path and, the forbidden stuff. I was really into that idea. And there's a reason why the Mao Shan, which I teach here at the 90-day challenge and at the 923.thunderwizard.com, there's a reason why that energy was forbidden and why it was kept secret, is because it was so powerful, and the emotional and psychological death that had to occur to experience that level of power was more than most people could handle. And ironically, the people who are most interested in darkness and evil are the least capable of handling it, as well as all the people who deny any of their negativity. So if you take somebody who's just pure full of love and light and you put them into some intense higher dimensional energy, they will scream and run out of there. Because these are both the, wanting to indulge in darkness and wanting to clothe yourself with, I'm pure light being, to virtue signal about how good I am. These are both escapes. And these are both, they're illusions. The real intense truth of existence is pure light and very intense. The best way to describe it, and even this doesn't describe it, is if you remember, the original, what was that movie? The Raiders of the Lost Ark. If you remember, maybe you haven't seen it, it's way back from the 80s. But, at some point, the Nazis were going to open up the Ark to see what was inside, because they knew it was filled with power. And Indiana Jones and, whatever his love interest was, he says, close your eyes. And so these, the Nazis open it up, and just this immense energy comes in, which ends up, burrowing through and melting their face. And that's exactly what happens to people who operate from lower vibrations, from lust and greed, trying to gain true spiritual powers, that it will destroy you. It doesn't destroy you, it destroys the negativity within you. But if you identify with it, So a good deity to worship would be Kali. If you've ever looked at Kali, she's the epitome of that darkness. She's got blood coming out of her mouth, and she's got severed heads, and people think she's the god of death, and she's not. Same with Mahakala, another version of Shiva. So if you want to go into the darkness, you can go there, and those and there's a reason why those beings are called Ugra, or terrifying. They're terrifying beings, but they're terrifying to the lower vibrational self. So the things that you like now about that, you'll get the real thing. You'll be able to see and communicate directly with the deities of, what we would consider to be, the darkness, which is really actually the light. And you'll be able to fulfill those desires on an even greater level. Okay, what else does he have to say?
Whatever. I was wondering how you see this, if you've thought about this. And the other thing is that I don't understand your opinion on fallen light beings, because I understand the idea that light beings couldn't fall, or that doing evil things isn't something that light beings, so they can't be false. But aren't humans also kind of fallen light beings, because we are light beings, humans, but we fall to a lower frequency where our whole isn't intact, and then do sort of more negative things.
All right, let me deal with that. So again, we've got some erroneous assumptions here. So first off, the term fallen does not apply. That again is a religious thing. So what religion wants to teach you is that there were these angels. I mean, think about this. This is a ludicrous idea, but it comes from religion. And that there are these beings of light, these angels, the closest beings to God, and somehow, when they live in the presence of all, supposedly the beauty of heaven, and somehow they get this weird bug up their ass that they want to now rebel and, and fight against the light. And, it just, there's no explanation other than somehow they get jealous and, whatever. So that's where this word fallen comes from. But it's not how things work. Human beings aren't fallen. Again, this is something that is taught by religion, that human beings have fallen from grace. And it's a misunderstanding. It just means we don't remember. We have shifted. If you're a human being, you have incarnated into the third dimension, and you have shifted down to a much lower frequency where you can be influenced by fear, greed, anger, lust, violence, and become abusive. That is true. But let's go back to what you said earlier. You like skateboarding because there's a challenge, there's a danger. So it means that same kind of thing, the soul, which is multidimensional, which is a being of light. Everybody's soul is beautiful and perfect and omnipotent and omniscient. But you wanted to have some fun. And there's no fun if there isn't any real danger. So you didn't fall if you're a human. You chose to incarnate. The idea that, whoops, I fell. I was good and now I fell and now I'm evil. This is a human fear, because we try and make sense of how people can be so abusive to us. And there are some extremely evil humans that do very, very evil things. And so, yes, I am saying that they chose to incarnate knowing that the risk would be there. And we could get into the whole karmic thing. They chose to do that because that created a lesson for other people that they had to overcome. And I don't want to indulge in that, because it ends up justifying abusive behavior, and it's the kind of thing that codependent people do. Well, this is the whole thing behind soul contracts. People stay in really destructive, abusive relationships, and they justify it by saying it's a soul contract. I've contracted to be your, your punching bag, and it's so that you can learn this, and that's just nonsense. Nobody here on planet Earth is allowed to consciously damage themselves. If you do, it's because of a lack of consciousness, and the only thing that happens is we're set up. We set up, dangerous scenarios for the soul, but we can choose at any moment in time to evolve. So the idea that we don't have any control and we've fallen into this, no, we chose to be here. And every person who's evil, they've been given every single moment of their existence, they're given an opportunity to choose to move towards enlightenment, towards evolution. It's very painful. That's why people don't do it. It's extremely, extremely painful and difficult to look at yourself and to take responsibility for the choices that you've made. It's very, very painful. So that's why most evil people never move beyond it. But it doesn't mean that they didn't have the possibility in every single moment to change. And it doesn't mean that they came into a situation not knowing that. They knew that they were going into a potentially dark life, and they knew that if they wanted to have, consciousness and awareness, that they would have to choose against the tide. The tide is pushing them towards being evil and selfish. Unfortunately, many people, because they've forgotten who they are, choose to do damaging things to themselves. So you're asking why you're kind of conflating two things: human beings versus light beings. So you're asking me, how is it that light beings can't be fallen? Well, the difference between a light being and a human being is that human beings chose to incarnate in a lower vibrational experience with the hope that they were going to be able to overcome the challenges and temptations and become conscious people. A light being who lives in light is vibrating at a frequency that gives them joy and peace. This is why the biblical version is ridiculous. The idea that you can live in joy and peace consciously and know what it is and then choose to fall is just absolute nonsense. And again, this is a projection. So, and your question illustrates that. You're projecting onto angels and light beings your human experience, which is, I'm trying to become conscious, and it's challenging, and other people are hurtful to me, and they don't seem to be aware, and so there must be evil, false beings of light who are trying to do the same thing to me. This is again a projection. It's an understandable projection because we project what we understand onto our environment. But when we learn how to take full responsibility for all of our thoughts, feelings, and actions, including all the negative ones, and look, I'm filled with a lot of negative feelings all the time. Just as an example, as I was driving home yesterday, there were some people out on the sidewalk, and I've only been here, a few months. I don't know everybody, but I try and be polite, and somebody was looking at me, so I waved, like, "Hi, neighbor." And he looked at me like he didn't know who I was. Well, that's not a big deal, but I took that really personally. As I came up my driveway, I wanted to go down there and say, "Who the hell do you think you are?" I wanted to go and get angry with him, intimidate him, and because it was hurtful to me, and that somebody didn't say, "Hi, neighbor." But of course I didn't act on that. And not only did I not act on it, I went, wow, this has nothing to do with him. What's this really about? So we have to choose to be conscious, and that's difficult. But once we learn how to do that, it becomes easier and easier and easier to understand where other people are at. And then we're much less likely to project on our fears, our fear of being abused and hurt, onto beings of light. The other thing is that if you do interdimensional meditation and you communicate with these beings and you feel their energy, you find out almost immediately that it's impossible for them. That being couldn't hide themselves if they wanted to. You know, the interesting thing, human beings can hide, but we live in darkness. We live in the third dimension, which is darkness. We can very easily hide, but those beings can't. Not only are they incapable of hiding, it would be painful for them to interact in a way that wasn't authentic. This is an experience that I'm having. You know, I want to be authentic. You know, these experiences have expanded me in ways I only want to interact from my deepest authenticity. And there's a lot of people that don't want that. They not only don't want that, it's frightening to them. You know, you're too real, you're too honest. They don't want to be anywhere near that. So it's painful to walk around. And so I long to be in a place where everybody encourages authenticity, whatever that is. All right, so let me keep going here.
And a lot of people, you said, for example, that in some video of yours that you would think that some of these like psychopathic world leader type people are advanced souls, very highly advanced souls. So, but they are fallen down into low frequencies doing the...
Okay, I don't remember saying that. I think a really, really long time ago, I might have said something like that. But that was just me trying to understand things. I don't know that I believe that now. There is a thing called karma, and there is a thing called destiny, and you know, even though I make fun of the whole soul contracts thing, people do make contracts to come into this world and provide lessons in a way that is challenging for others. The level of depravity and destruction that is happening at the level of the elites doesn't qualify. So wherever they are, they have gone completely off the reservation, and they are not operating within, you know, whatever karmic role they may have had. I do not believe that, you know, people that do the things that are being done, I don't believe they're advanced souls. I may have said that a long time ago. I don't remember saying that recently, but I don't believe that now. So let's keep going.
These kinds of things. So I don't understand how fallen light beings couldn't exist. So that's all I have to say, all I have to ask, and I'd like to thank you for your content.
Okay, and then he spends a couple minutes addressing me personally, so I won't put that up. Anyway, there you go. There are the questions. Will there be pain in 5D? Why don't you think fallen angels exist? And again, I can explain it, you know, over and over again, and I'm happy to keep doing that. As you know, I repeat myself a lot, but there's nothing that explains it better than personal experience. So the thing about light beings is, they're people just like us. The extraterrestrial, physical, higher dimensional beings. They're just like us, except that they live in a higher dimension. And all the things that go on in higher dimensions. So, you know, you need to communicate to them. Now, they're extremely psychic. Because of that, it's like looking into a fishbowl. They can see everything around us and they can see into us. But you should ask whoever you are. This isn't just to Josh, this is to anybody. If you need to understand something, you should ask them. If you want to understand about how human beings end up, in this place, how can we choose to incarnate here? How can other beings choose to be so evil? What's it like, is it possible in the fifth dimension to be evil? Can you explain it to me? You can ask them. You can ask them anything. Maybe they'll be able to explain it to you, maybe they won't. One of the things that I've noticed with them, again, this is just my best, attempt at understanding higher dimensional everything, which is just, mind-bending, is that I do get the feeling that they really try and communicate, but we just don't have the ability to comprehend it. We're in the third dimension. We operate from negativity and we respond and react to negativity, and they don't have that. And the positive aspects they have and experience on a daily basis, we can't even imagine. So when they try and explain to us how amazing and beautiful it is, we can't get it. We can't get a lot of it. So I think they're trying really hard. They're doing the best that they can, which is why, I've shared this story before. It's not my story. I'm repeating it from Joe Dispenza, who says that when he was teaching a seminar on meditation, that higher dimensional beings were showing up in the room, and he asked them, "Why don't you join us?" And they said, "We can't. Because if we were to lower ourselves to your frequency, that would be damaging to us, and we love ourselves too much to do that. But if you are willing to raise your vibration up towards us, we'll meet you halfway." So we really have to be willing to let go of everything we're attached to, including everything that we think we know, everything that we understand, and all of our sacred cows. We got to be willing to let them go to learn. I mean, every time that I go and I learn something, even this most recent one, which I'm making videos about, it's not something I necessarily like hearing. So if you're emotionally attached to the idea, like many people are, not saying you are, Josh, but many people are emotionally attached to the idea that there are false beings of light out there, because that helps them make sense out of the universe. But if I or anybody says, no, actually, false beings of light don't exist. Once you get out of the third dimension, there's nothing but love. People react strangely. They get angry and they want to argue instead of go, "Oh, really? Oh, that's great." And so that's one of the ways you're getting a true message, is if they tell you something, even if it sounds really blissful and wonderful, but there's a part of you that doesn't like hearing it. That means that you're being given information that's expanding you out of your current understanding, which again, when that happens, it feels like it's killing us, because we feel we have to understand our reality to survive. Anyway, I could go on and on and on, but I'll leave it there for now. So if you want to ask me a question, go to askmike.thunderwizard.com and follow the directions. I'll be happy to answer your question in a video. And again, if you want to get the most out of this channel, as I've said before, go to the playlists and click on the Maoshan Qigong, Interdimensional Meditation, and 12 Steps to 5D. Do at least one thing from at least one of those playlists every day. And while you're doing that, go to thunderwizard.com, subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. You will learn the most powerful energy practice in history. These are practices I now know come directly from higher dimensional beings who are giving us the ability and the techniques to create portals to higher dimensions. And if you're prepared to face and let go of your limitations in favor of greater power and understanding, then I invite you to take a look at that. at thunderwizard.com. Askmike.thunderwizard.com again to ask me a question. All of my books can be found at michaelwilliamdenny.com. If you're outside of the US, there's a link at the top you can click, and that'll take you to the Amazon Kindle or Audible in your country. If you want the most powerful practice in existence, it's a 5 different moving forms which give you more power than you can possibly imagine, and again create portals directly to higher dimensions. Go to 923.thunderwizard.com. You'll get a huge package full of stuff, including the Maoshan 5-element moving forms. That's it for me, my friends. Thank you so much for showing up. And again, if the flash don't come and or I don't get beamed up to the Starship Enterprise, I will see you guys all very soon. Please take very good care of yourselves. Please love yourselves. And I know this is a challenging time, but be willing to let go of the negativity and move towards loving yourself and loving others to the best of your ability. That's it for me. See you all next time.